Activist-owned and mission-driven, and believe so strongly in the power of Kratom, they're giving it away for free. Just go to freeounceofkratom.com for a free ounce of Kratom delivered to your door. Just pay shipping. That's freeounceofkratom.com. This is the latest edition of the Liberty Beat. Find us online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. Your news now continues. The U.S. Navy ignored concerns over a sexually explicit rape list of female submariners circulating aboard the USS Florida, the second Navy submarine to integrate female crew members. That's according to records obtained by military.com through a Freedom of Information Act request. The anti-media reports that the sexually explicit list describes various USS Florida females by appearances, characteristics, and various sexual acts the creators of the list wish to perform with them. According to the report, there were two lists in existence. The first ranked the 32 women on board the sub's 173-person crew by attractiveness using a star system. The second included sexually explicit comments next to each name, which correspond to the star rankings. That's according to a 74-page report detailing the misconduct. The report says female crew members were full of fear, anger, and disgust, while men said they were horrified, appalled, outraged, and less trusting. A family is speaking out against the NYPD after they were raided by multiple cops, had their house destroyed, and false charges brought against them for vials of ashes containing their late patriarch. The Free Thought Project reports the incident happened last year, as 65-year-old Lucia Santiago was awakened in her bed by heavily armed NYPD officers and forced into the living room. After the grandfather, Miguel Santiago, had passed away, the family divided his ashes among themselves at his behest. Now, police claim they conducted the raid over an alleged gun sale. However, no such gun or evidence of a gun sale was found. But police just didn't want to go away empty-handed, so the grandmother and her two grandsons were charged with possession of a controlled substance for the ashes and possession of ammunition for some loose bullets. Support for the Liberty Beat comes from the Conscious Resistance Network, featuring videos, news reports, and articles from a spiritual anarchist perspective. Experience the Conscious Resistance at theconsciousresistance.com. How would you like to have your business featured on the Liberty Beat? You can. Just send an email to libertybeat@snls.news for details. This is the Liberty Beat, produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. The Liberty Beat is online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow, reporting for the Liberty Beat, reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
Officials at PepsiCo announced today the upcoming launch of Mountain Dew Cineblast after the company's market research team unknowingly fell victim to a malicious focus group that convinced them cinnamon-flavored Mountain Dew was the next big thing.
The people in the focus group, they couldn't get enough of it. And then they said, the more cinnamon, the better. So we are going to put in more cinnamon. We're really excited for people to try this product.
According to PepsiCo's data, all gathered from a single group of ill-intentioned respondents, customers of all ages will love the new soft drink's murky brownish-green color and will soon be lining up to try the carbonated beverage jam-packed with ground cinnamon. Various members of the focus group told reporters they believed the company had made a great decision.
Cineblast is the best. I mean, I can't wait to tell all of my friends to go buy this thing.
Yeah. The only way they can make it better is if they took a couple of raw eggs, mixed them up in the bottle. People would go nuts.
This is the Onion News Network.
Welcome to episode 4 of Aria Uncensored. Technically episode 5, but we're not counting episode 4. In fact, I deleted it the next day from all of the internet archives because I was not happy with the episode or how it went or how it developed or any of that. Because you fucking people zoomed in on a tiny little slice of things that had been going on over a 5-month period and interpreted it. Let me first back up. First of all you know about me is what I've told you, right? You don't live in my fucking world, and you're never going to. So to take these little slivers of things that I say and interpret them as some sort of absolute obsession that's been going on for months is not just ridiculous, it's entitlement. But to back up a bit more, so I've been doing shrooms lately, and that's been a fun experience. Last week, it was the first time in more than a year that I had done any shrooms. Last Tuesday, because I ended up, if you want to have a seat, have at it. Last week, I ended up doing shrooms when I took the Tuesday off. I now have Chris Wade hosting Call to Freedom on Tuesdays, and that's fucking great. But what was going on then, not last Tuesday, last episode, was a lot of different shit piling up that I didn't, I just literally didn't have time to deal with, right? And that final thing with the dumbass at work was just the final straw, so to speak.
Now, how did that turn out with the dumbass at work?
It didn't. No closure whatsoever.
Hold on, was this the boyfriend at work who's now the dumbass at work? I might have missed.
He was never a boyfriend.
Okay.
He was someone I pursued.
I see. Okay. Okay.
But yeah, so I mean, no resolution whatsoever, which is fine because I'm used to no resolution whatsoever. Which is another thing that people really need to understand.
Well, you can have closure anytime you want by saying, fuck him. Okay, I was trying to remember whether I was on broadcast radio or not.
Yeah, I mean,
good news.
Yeah, that's absurd. That's absurd, Rich. That's not the way closure works. It isn't. And I say that absolutely with certainty as someone whose mother was murdered, the 20th anniversary of which is coming up on June the 3rd. So that's also been in the back of my mind. All kinds of fun little shit.
How old were you when that happened?
I'm not going to answer that question.
Fair enough.
I was young, you know,
Okay.
and she vanished off the face of the earth, which is always fun. And the person who murdered her ended up killing someone else like 2 months later to steal $2,000 from her, a friend of his.
Wow.
Yeah, he ended up serving like a 10-year sentence, but only like 9 years of it. So, I mean, all of that shit's been going on at the same time. So I was like, you know what? I've got to clear my head. I've got to go inward, because I love Joseph Campbell. I love Hero of a Thousand Faces. It speaks to me on a human level. So what I saw was I had to go down into that labyrinth and face that Minotaur, whatever, because I'm not one to carry around a bunch of baggage, obviously, but there was something that I had to deal with. I still don't know what the fuck it was, because the first experience with shrooms in more than a year was simply great. You know, it wasn't very introspective. It was in the sense that I was like, you know, I work a lot, but I don't really work a lot. I escape a lot. And work has just become a mechanism for that, in the same way that video games or whatever else become an escape mechanism for other people. Which
Or drugs or any other. I mean, that's really what addiction is just finding something that helps you escape from
but if
whatever it is you're...
But if we're escaping 60 hours a week, you know, it raises the question of not necessarily just what are we escaping from, but what else is there besides what we are escaping into, you know?
Right.
So that was another interesting experience, but I realized, you know, I'm not really the reason I'm doing that is because of the silence in my life and the loneliness, but that's self-caused, you know, and I'm aware of that. The reason that I don't go out and spend time with people is because I work too fucking much, and because of that, I end up feeling lonely on those days off, because there's no one there for me to spend time with, because instead I've been working historically. So I was pleased to realize that even before I took the shrooms, I was already taking steps to secure 1 day off every single week. So that was great. But then last night...
that's a pretty generous treatment. 1 day a week? Wow.
Yeah.
What are you going to do with all that time?
I cut the grass today.
You cut the grass?
Yep.
Yeah. 1 day a week?
1 day
off,
a week.
Especially when beyond working, you're doing 3 hours of radio a day, and I know you do a lot of other shit. I mean, that still maybe put. I mean, obviously, I'm not here to tell you how to what to do, but I am clergy, so I gotta call him like I see him, and it seems like there's maybe still some balance missing.
No, I mean there's nothing else I can remove. I was only able to remove Tuesdays because I was lucky enough to have Chris Wade here and willing to host the show. I can't remove Mondays because it's just me and Michael. There's no one there to like pick up the slack. And I don't want to miss. I don't like missing one day a week of Call to Freedom. I really don't, because it no longer feels like it's my show, so to speak.
Right.
But I mean, things have to be done. I mean, I have to live basically, which means I can't work 7 days a week, which is what I was doing otherwise.
Right.
Prior to the last 2 weeks.
Well, once I'm checked out on the board, hopefully I'll be able to give you some backup on that if you want me to.
Well, like I was saying, I don't want more time
I know.
off.
You don't want to be.
And that's really the issue, is that I don't want to cut out Call to Freedom at all. I would much rather be here on Tuesdays to do the show. I hate not being here. It's nice when I was able to take a nap and just watch television and relax or whatever. But it's also frustrating because, it's this thing that I could be doing that isn't just productive, but actually reaches people and touches people and ideally helps people. And at the same time that all of that shit's going on, right? Every goddamn fucking day on Twitch or DLive or YouTube, there is somebody who just zeroes in on the fact that I'm trans. And I've realized that being trans is like being fat. If somebody wants to pick on you, or attack you or bully you, that is always what they're going to fucking pick. Every goddamn time.
Yeah, well, they're always going to look for your weakness.
Well, what they interpret as a weakness is not a weakness.
Well, the thing, but they're looking for a weakness. It's your choice whether or not they've found one. But they're looking for a chink in your armor. They're looking for your buttons.
No, you're giving them way too much credit. They're uncreative, fucking mouth-breathing idiots who see the most obvious thing that they can target, and they just zero in on that. It's not like they spend time.
I didn't say they were looking to be subtle.
It's not like they're analyzing you and go, how can I most damage this person, or how can I most affect this person? They're not doing any of that. They're just looking in an instant, making a quick snap decision about what they perceive to be the case. But
and the instinctual decision is the best way to hurt somebody is hurt them in the way that everybody attacks them. Because if you keep getting hit in the same place,
which is what I was getting at, because it is every fucking day. I'm sure it's already happened at least once in the DLive chat, and probably not since this show started. In fact, we've only been going for a couple of minutes, but every fucking day, and that shit piles up. It does.
Yeah, and I feel the same way about misandrists. There are a lot of misandrist feminists out there who just absolutely hate men, and they piss me off. Especially when you start in a pro-choice part with, well, men are bad because abortion is illegal, and it's like, well, as a pro-choice guy, maybe you should give us a pass instead of giving it to pro-life women. Maybe
they don't give a pass to pro-life women.
Well, they certainly do if they think men are the problem.
No, they don't.
Abortion laws, because there are more pro-life women than pro-life men.
You have not spent nearly enough time on the internet then. Because
I've spent way too much time on the internet. I was on the internet
in the wrong circles.
1982.
No, well, first of all, no, you weren't.
Actually, yes, I was.
There was no internet in 1982.
The internet has existed since the 60s. It was started by the Defense Advanced Research Projects Administration. And the way that I got on the internet in 1982 is I broke into Unix boxes at the University of Michigan
it was
engineering
college to
department.
College then, right? At that time?
But I lived in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and the University of Michigan was right there. So we'd download.
Okay, well, let me interrupt you here because
interrupt me. That's too much technical.
Yeah, you're absolutely wrong about how these uber feminists treat pro-life women. They don't treat them as women. In fact, they talk about revoking their vagina cards, revoking their women cards. I saw a leftist socialist dude on Facebook the other day essentially saying that pro-life women were not real women, that they didn't qualify. And this is not an uncommon position. So if this is what one of these white knights operating on their behalf says, you can only imagine what these actual people says. It comes back to the existence of TERFs, really, the trans exclusionary radical feminists. It's all the same to them.
Well, on the one hand, I do understand the concern of the TERFs in that there's a tactic that I've recommended to people, which is if your company is in California and it happens to have an all-male board, tell one of the board members to identify as female and give them a bonus, and then you don't have to change the composition of your board to suit some arbitrary law. So TERFs who are statists would not like that. If somebody is not a statist and doesn't approve of that sort of law, it's probably doesn't matter one way or the other. But I can see how, the TERFs and the SWERFs are another group of feminists that I have particular scorn for, the ones who hate sex workers.
Well, people who hate sex workers in general are pretty sucky.
Yeah.
But so moving on, there was all of that shit going on, right? And at the same time, my grandmother from Mississippi, the one who sent me to Pray the Gay Away camps, right?
Mm-hmm.
Contacted me on Facebook.
Oh, wow.
Which was, in the middle of a Call to Freedom episode, in fact. It was a total mind fuck. I wasn't in any mental condition to deal with that.
Uh-huh.
So all of that just sort of piled on to what was already there that I wasn't able to deal with because I was simply working too goddamn much.
Right.
So with all of that fucking said, these people who listen to me, if you want to gain anything from listening to anything that I have to say, you're going to have to open your minds. You're going to have to get out of these myopic little fucking boxes that you live in, where people on Twitch, when I watched the feed afterward, they were saying things like, oh, well, Arya made the mistake of catching feelings for someone that she works with and things like that. It's like, look, yeah, and I understand that for the average person who simply goes about their lives in an ordinary fucking existence, that would be a problem. But that's not who you're dealing with here. You're dealing with someone who is poly. I am capable of juggling all manner of complex emotions simultaneously without it impacting other subsets of my existence. And that's ultimately what it comes down to. And I think that's a talent that we should all develop. Because when you allow your emotions to rule you to that extent, where even working with someone that you have feelings with becomes a problem, then you're simply destroying yourself because you're allowing your emotions to rule you rather than ruling your emotions.
Probably true.
And I think that's problematic, obviously. So all of that criticism, because and Rev, he's clearly drunk, was going on.
Fuck Rev.
Yeah, he's already on hold. Yeah, let's take him. Let's get it over with. Rev, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there.
Don't you have anything else to do, bro? This is the third show I've been on with you. Okay, talk.
Shut your mouth, Rich Paul, you ugly fat bastard.
I can't shut my mouth. I'm a radio host, you dumb bastard. Now say your piece or get off the show.
You're kind of cute sometimes, but you're a very smart man, all right? But come on, let someone else yell at somebody for once, all right? Arya, can you hear me? Can everybody hear me okay? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay, all right, thanks. Look, I'm calling your show. I'm going to try to have some level of decorum. I think enough of you, and I've said even earlier, I have my problems with you, but I think you're a good person, and I don't think you're a total pussy, so I don't think you'll hang up after me after 30 fucking seconds, but you want me to get to the point. First point is, I want to castrate this fucking faggot-ass nigga turd Ferguson, and I won't say those words again, but he's said he wants to fuck you in the ass. Is that gay? Fuck you, asshole. I'll castrate you and I'll cut your mother's fat
hold on.
off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Time out.
Okay, sure.
He said he wants to fuck you in the ass.
No, he wants to fuck you. He wants to you're a fucking big ugly man. No offense. You're a fucking man in a dress. And I had a lot of love for you and a lot of respect for you, but you're a fucking man in a dress.
Time out, Rev.
Okay.
Why does it bother you that Turd Ferguson wants to fuck me?
Because he's some piece of shit who, dude, he's never. No.
This sounds jealous.
And I'm a rotten cunt hole, and I have people too much. Hey, shout out to my Singularity. So I love saying, hey, look, I had a problem with Singularity. Singularity's a good man. He lives in my area. We've been talking. He did not tell me to say this. He's not a racist. He's not against you. Shouts to Singularity. But anyway, so look, here's the problem. All right, I had a lot of respect for you. Aria, I still have some fucking respect for you. I like you too, Rich Paul, but I'm talking to Aria right now, and the same with Ian. A lot of people are like, Ian's a piece of shit. He tried to rape a child. I'm like, that's not fucking true. Come on, even Vincent stood up for you, Ian. So there you go.
That is a fucking lie.
Well, no, yeah, it's not a fucking lie. But anyway, all right, sorry. Aria.
No. I mean that if that was said, then what was said was a falsehood.
No, I know. I agree. So, Aria, listen. All right, look, I'm sorry. I'm disrespecting your gender identity. I'm drunk as fuck.
I know.
I'm not sorry. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. What?
No, I just said I know.
Yeah, well,
Wasn't he drunk when he called Call to Freedom today too?
Yeah, I was.
I wasn't here.
Okay.
I was, and that's why I called, because I was afraid for my goddamn life. Calling with you on, because you intimidate people, because you're such a big scary man. No, you are. You fucking are.
Oh, hold on. Stop laughing or mute yourself or something when you do that.
I'll hit the laugh button.
Who were you talking about intimidates people?
Look, here's the deal.
No. Answer the question. Are you saying I intimidate people?
Yeah, you do and can. You can.
You know I'm wearing a skirt, right?
I saw you you're wearing like a white shirt and something. I don't know what you're wearing. Whatever.
I'm wearing a really cute skirt. It's got hair dye on it now.
Are you gonna say giant fucking motherfuckers that could stomp some girl's head, an actual girl's head in, or not scared? Look, I'm not
Rev,
just trying to call.
Hold on, time out. If you're intimidated by me, I mean that sounds like a personal problem.
Hey, you know why?
I mean, I will defend myself when I am put into a defensive position from people. I will defend myself when people routinely interrupt me. I will defend myself in all manner of circumstances. I don't back down. This to you is intimidating.
No, it's not that.
I just want to bring in, since you don't have the chat rooms in front of you here, and we are on DLive and Twitch, I've got them here. Asking for a friend says, he likes you, Aria. He just has a poor grasp of love language.
That's my call.
What does he
Turd
mean?
or me?
Hold on.
He's talking about Rev.
He's saying Rev has a crush on you.
Oh.
Which
No.
I've never had a communication with him when he wasn't obsessing over you. So that's, I mean...
Rich, I think. Hey, listen. You could tell Aria. You can look at the fucking private messages on Telegram. I said boy Aria was cute. I still stand by that. Boy Aria is cute. Boy Aria is a nice looking young man. I'll tell you what right now. But you know what ain't cute? Is this motherfucking... I don't want to be too transphobic. Look,
I don't
Aria,
give a shit.
Now, are you aware that words can have more than one sense?
I don't give a shit, when it happens in acute form. Like I was saying, it does pile up, but that's not really related to you or to any specific person who has said anti-trans shit to me on DLive or Twitch. None of that really matters. It's just it becomes overwhelming at times. That is what I always fucking get. But I mean, I don't give a shit. You can be as anti-trans as you want. I don't like the phrase transphobic because I don't think you fear trans people. I prefer the term simply anti-trans.
Well, he does claim to fear you. I haven't heard that before.
That's true.
Maybe he's the one real transphobe.
He did literally just say that he is intimidated.
He could have a phobia.
I am a transphobe, but I have a transgender woman who's a fucking Canadian who dates a neo-Nazi in my goddamn Telegram that you left. All right, so look, I'm not going to hijack your whole fucking show here because you have other things to do. But listen, I'm drunk. I'm not going to call you again. I'm not going to bother you. You can talk about me, whatever. All right, but look, I had not paid attention in a month. I called in randomly today. I'm like, oh shit. I'm sorry. Oh no, I can say that. Okay, I can't say nigga, or sand nigga, but I can say.
You can't.
Sorry. All right,
you cannot. I will
Sorry.
have to drop your call if you do that, whether I want to or not.
Sorry.
You cannot say that.
Okay, yes, ma'am. You see, look, I'm respecting the identity, an authority figure, like an asshole cop. No, yes, okay, I understand. Don't be a pussy and delete this one, man. Listen. So here's the deal. Can I tell you why I'm mad at you and why I still like you overall, but I'm fucking disappointed in you, Ari? I was one of your biggest fucking fans, and you know that.
Is it because I fell for someone else?
No, you idiot. Your giant shoulders and your big fucking jaw that could crack walnuts, bitch. I'm sorry, I'm gonna be an asshole for a second and say that shit. You are not a pretty woman. You look fine as a boy, but you are an ugly woman. And you should take this shit off right now and live as a genderqueer, a natural gender variant as I fucking do.
Dude,
okay?
I'm sorry. I just want to say this. I mean, I'm not into trans people, but trans people, including you, Aria, You look better than a lot of the women on like Tinder and fucking OkCupid. I mean,
the fat ones, yeah. She looks better than fat ones and some of the thin ones.
A lot of them are overweight. I mean, a lot of them. And maybe it's just coming back from Japan where like everybody's in good shape.
Oh, yeah.
Like I see more fat women on one street corner here than I did in fucking 7 days or 6 days in Japan. Like, it spoiled me.
Look, Aria, can I say real quick and then you talk? Look, it's your show. All right, thank you for having me on. I don't, and thank you, Ian, and thanks to Rich Paul even for whatever. The point is, I like all y'all, but Aria, you pissed me off and you fucking hurt me a little bit, and that's hard to do, man. That's hard to do because I talked to you and you left and it wasn't about leaving my Telegram group, which is politically incorrect with the 0 for the first O. Turd Ferguson,
really, because you mentioned it now like 3 times. I kind of think it probably was a little bit about that.
I think there's a little something there about that.
No, listen, man. Here's what hurt me, hon.
No, hold on. Okay,
this is
because
the third show you've mentioned.
if we're gonna air this the fuck out, okay?
Yeah,
because you threw in that fucking $5 donation you sent me like 14 goddamn times. You threw that shit into my face until I finally said, "Give me a fucking Bitcoin Cash address, and I will just send you $5 worth of Bitcoin Cash to shut you the fuck up about it."
You did, but I refused. But thank you for that. I didn't want your money back, man. It was just a little bit. I was sent the drawing. Vincent still has the drawing. It was a joke, Shit was going well. Shit's going well again finally. But the point is, it wasn't that, Aria. What it was is that you were so thick-skinned in every other area of your life, with even people being
except for the one episode I did where I aired out my personal life by your and other people's fucking requests. Oh, maybe there's a reason I don't typically talk about my personal fucking life.
Maybe you're autistic and you can't fucking handle it, which is why you got so angry when I called you an autist. Maybe you can't fucking handle it. Some fat dude at your fucking work didn't like you, motherfucker. So you said, oh, everybody was coming in there against me. Everybody was coming in there trying to find some preconceived notion. I talked to 5 other people whose names I won't mention, motherfucker. None of them came in against you. We were all fans of you, so fuck you, you psychotic, ugly, fucking big man-faced tranny. You're crazy on estradiol. Oh, shut up. We were not against you, Aria, and I still wish the best for you. I don't fucking hate you, dude. I don't want to castrate you like Turd Ferguson or the communists or the Muslims or the kikes, but I will not fucking sit here and say that I was against you. No, I'm not. Sorry. Go ahead. No, go fucking ahead.
I never
that
once.
was the most
Hold on. I never once said that everyone came in against me.
Yes, you did.
No, I fucking did. No, you fucking don't. What I said was that people came in and insulted me. I didn't say they came in with any sort of preconceived notion or any sort of ill content or ill intention or anything like that. I simply stated what happened. And of course, the videos no longer exist. There's no fucking archive of the show for any of us to prove this one way or the other.
I have it, but I'm not going to upload it because there's no point. But I have it because I thought it was a cool episode, just like Derek J. But go ahead. Yeah.
Well, I would appreciate it if you didn't upload it.
I'm not gonna, Aria. I'm not gonna. I know your real name, by the way, and I'm not gonna fuck. You know the shit that you know a little bit of shit about me, and I know a little shit about you, and we could both.
You don't know fucking anything about me that I haven't told you.
Okay. Well, I'm not gonna.
So you should get a name change.
Oh yeah. Yeah. With that letter that happens to be a J, which I'm not gonna freaking say.
Yeah, okay? Which is good because I have never in my life gone by that name. I've always gone by my middle name, which you don't know.
No, I don't. But Ian knows my fucking. I'll tell you, my first name's fucking Robert, motherfucker. But I prefer to be called Reviler on the internet. There you go.
How about Bobby?
No, I don't
call
like
you
that.
Bob.
Like,
damn it, Bobby.
That's when I was little. Nah, that was when I was little, motherfuckers. When I was cute and little.
That's what I'm going to say when you irritate me from now on.
You know you can. It's not going to irritate me. So listen, Aria, do you not acknowledge that, listen, please. I understand that people, and I'm not going to call you again. I'm not going to do this again. I told Arnold and Scotty, the Nazis, and Obscene Podzine, to have Aria, if she has the balls, to come back to my thing. You're not going to do it. That's the only reason I blocked you, because you left like a fucking coward. And I messaged you. I said, hon, look, even if we disagree, you don't have to leave. And what did you do? You left like a coward. Even the Nazis like you.
Hold on. Because there was no talk of me leaving before I left the Telegram group. There was no suggestion I was going to leave, and absolutely no reason whatsoever that you would have said you don't have to leave the group. I didn't say anything about it. I simply did it because that's the kind of fucking person I am. I'm not going to emotionally extort you to fucking be obedient to emotional manipulation by telling you I'm going to leave your fucking group if you don't do what I want you to do. Fuck that.
Okay. Okay, but the fact is, you left my group with really, I would have appreciated if you had said, "Hey, look, you're pissing me off with disagreeing with me, or can you leave me alone?" I would have, but you left my group, and that bothered me. Not because you left my group, because look at how thick of skin you've had. You've had assholes call in and be for real, like you should kill yourself, faggot. Sorry to say that, but I won't say it again. But you're a tranny. You don't know. You gotten all the insults worse than I even have as a genderqueer, having a hammer and a fucking gun, a Beretta, $500 PX4 on the fucking beach, wearing what I fucking wear with the high cut thong, looking better than pussy, ready to put hollow points in the niggas' or to crack
Rev, if you say that again, I'm gonna have to drop the call.
I'm sorry. I won't. In a motherfucker's fucking body or whatever I gotta do. But the point is, listen, man. Listen. All right, hon? Listen. You were so strong. You have put up with I've watched Call to Freedom for a long time. It's the first time not working, not doing shit in 10 years. You know what I'm saying? And I fucking drunk or sober. I watched this shit, and I loved man, Arya is so strong. Arya doesn't
Rev,
know.
you're a fucking faggot, dude.
Fuck you. Oh, yeah, asshole? I will cut your balls off with my neo-Nesbuck knife, you fucking asshole. Come to Florida, motherfucker. Singularity and I will hold you down and cut your fucking balls off,
You're
asshole.
not gonna do shit.
You're a faggot, asshole. You want to fuck this ugly, big-face fucking tranny, this big
What?
chin tranny, you faggot piece of shit. What do you know what I've done with men, bitch? What do you know, asshole? You know how much pussy I've got, asshole?
You're a piece of shit.
You're a piece of shit, you ugly fucking asshole. I'll stick my knife through your fucking eye. That's not even my hollow point. I bought your fucking kneecap.
How do you know I'm ugly?
Beretta motherfucking, what, Beretta PX4?
Hold on.
What's up,
Everybody
asshole?
stop.
That's an argument.
Everybody, Rev, you two, everybody stop.
I will kill this asshole.
Rev,
I'm
shut
not
the
kidding
fuck
you.
up.
I don't care if officer.
Yeah. Everybody stop. Rev, you've been muted. Turd, is it true? Yeah, that's fine. You can unmute him after I'm asked this question. Turd, is it true that you wish to have sex with me? Because that seems to significantly bother our old friend Bobby.
Well, am I unmuted right now? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. So what I said that seemed to bother him specifically was I said I noticed that he was in the room at first, and I knew this was going to bother him, so that's why I said it. But I said I would rather have sex with you. I said I'd fuck you in the ass long before I fucked him in the ass.
I want your ugly ass anyway. Yeah.
Well, I don't think he was offering you his ass.
Yeah, I think it was the dick he was offering.
Hey, turd. Hey, asshole. Hey, you think I'm such a queer and all? Look, I don't care, dude. Here's
you are the bitch. I mean,
that's what you think, asshole, because I show my ass off, but you don't know what my history is with males, females, or anything. Here's my question, man. What is your issue with me, man? Are you just here to troll? Because that's all it seems. At least Mortified Penguin, he has an issue with me. Arterial Salad, aka Singularity, he had an issue. Him and I talked it out. And we're like buddies now, man. So what's your fucking problem with me, bro? You think I'm a Nazi? You think I'm a gay? That's what I've never heard from you, man. Go ahead. Go ahead and tell me. No, really, I want to hear. Go ahead.
My issue's you're a fucking faggot, dude.
And you're the faggot, asshole. No, you're the faggot, asshole, because I don't want a fucking ugly, giant-shouldered, giant-chin tranny in the
Hold
ass.
on. But hold on. Okay, Rev, shut up. Shut up. But you would fuck me if I was dressed like a dude, right?
You know, I think you're cute as a man. I don't know what I'd do. I don't know. I'm not denying any, quote, faggot. We can't say nig, but we can say fag. Okay, whatever. That's funny. It's a funny little double standard, right? But anyway, no, this asshole, his biggest thing, and he's saying faggot like as in gay. He's not saying faggot as in like, hey, bro, you're being a fag, man. You know, like we were growing up. He said, and this asshole.
He's called into a show hosted by a fucking tranny. I don't think he's saying faggot in any sort of universally antagonistic sense.
But he wants to fuck, no offense, on a tranny with giant shoulders that looks like a man. So he's a much bigger faggot than I could ever be.
You should see my shoulders from like 2 years ago.
I've seen. No,
I thought you were going to tell him he should see your shoulders from behind.
Dude, I want to hold you down, Ferguson. I want to castrate you, man.
Hold on, what was that? Hold on, what? You want to hold me down and what?
No, not you. I'd like to castrate Turd Ferguson. I'd like to castrate Mr. FBI asshole in Ocarina of Time. I'd like to hold you down. I'd like to shoot your fucking kneecaps with goddamn hollow points. With Hornady hollow points, motherfucker, in a Zelda Ocarina of Time, right? And I want to fucking, dismember you. That's what because you're an asshole, man. You have no value. You have no value, motherfucker. What are you saying, asshole? You're calling me a fag, but you said you wanted to fuck a tranny. Is that correct?
The only thing I heard of like anything you just said was Ocarina of Time from The Legend of Zelda. That's the only thing
I mean, that's where my brain stopped working as well.
Ferguson, okay, let me ask real quick. I'll say it nicely. I'll say it quietly. Ferguson, if you're just trolling, dude, you're just trolling. All right, I understand. But at a certain point, you seem to really have an ideological problem with me, and that's that somehow my small bit of
Yeah, I
homosexuality.
told you because you're a fucking faggot.
But you're the actual faggot,
Rev,
asshole. No.
Rev.
You're the faggot. You want to fuck a man in a dress like Aria DiMezzo, a big ugly man. You want to fuck him. So you're the faggot, asshole. So what are you saying?
Rev, he is so obviously trolling you. Remember what I was saying
Well, he's
just
an
fucking
asshole.
30 minutes ago? Hold on, Rev, shut up for a second. Remember what I was saying just 30 minutes ago about how people target the things most likely to get under someone's skin? Well, clearly, for you, homosexuality is something that is likely to get under your skin. He's so obvious. He's standing there calling you a faggot, but he's not calling the fucking trans chick in a skirt a faggot.
To them too.
It gets to you so clearly. That's why
okay, yeah.
he's doing
Okay.
it.
So, right, no, I know how trolling works. I was there around 4chan. I know this shit. What the thing I didn't understand is that now maybe he was joking. He would not actually want to fuck you, but if he did, that would make him the biggest hypocrite. And he did say that. You know, I'd rather fuck blah blah blah, and nobody presented that to him. But listen, man, I want to castrate your fat ass mother's pussy lips. I want to castrate you. I want to hold you down. I want to stick my neonesmuk fucking condor knife through each eye. I want to hear it.
Can we allow him to make threats like that?
I want to jerk off, and I want to fucking stab you up to death, motherfucker, asshole. No,
I mean,
for real, man.
realistically,
I think we
yeah,
can.
I do, asshole. Because all you have to say is fag.
Violence is okay. You just can't use the N-word.
Hey man, why do you hate fags so much? Do you hate all gays? Do you really? No, I'm just curious. It's okay if you do. Some of the Nazis I know do.
Let me ask you a question. Before he answers that, let me ask you a question.
All right, sure. Yeah.
Because this is, I don't want this to turn into the turd versus Rev hour. As entertaining as that would be. Yeah, well, let me ask you this question.
That might be a
okay?
spin-off.
It might be. I'll take your fucking skin off,
So,
asshole.
okay, well, shut up. Rev, shut the fuck up. Okay? My question to you is, do you understand now why it might bother me to have you sitting there in the Twitch chat calling me autistic or whatever the fuck it was you were saying? Well, you're being upset because he is routinely calling you a faggot. What is the fucking difference? I could sit here saying, oh, Rev, you struck me as such a strong and independent and vibrant person, but oh, now look, you're just falling apart.
Okay, so the difference is that, first of all, if he's just totally trolling like I now do believe, as you guys pointed out, then okay. But I thought he might have had an argument at first, right? So that was the mistake. The difference is, Aria, me calling you autistic, I wasn't saying, oh, Aria DiMezzo, real name I won't say, not that you care, but I won't do it, is an autistic retard. She has
You
no
don't know
good
my
points.
real name.
No, I know your real fucking first name, but I don't care. I'm not gonna say it. All right, even whatever. So these give you the idea of the kind of person I am, at least at the end of the day.
I don't really give a shit.
I know you don't. I know you fucking don't. But I give a shit about some level of trust with people, right? Especially if people are gonna be fucking hearing this. So don't even do that with you. Somebody said something about a co-host of yours, by the way, not you, but somebody who I won't say, and you know what I'm fucking talking about. I will never say that to them.
I don't know what the fuck
Yeah, you fucking do. You fucking. I'm not gonna do it on the air with you, okay? The point is this. The reason I called you autistic, you were making autistic arguments, honey. You were fixating on one particular thing. Now, did you do it well? Yes. Did you have good communication? Yes. Were you very academic in your endeavor of explaining it? Yes. But does it make good fucking radio for 45 minutes for 5 fucking episodes? No. So I'm sorry that I had the fucking reaction of a fan like Opie and Anthony back in the day. Be like, listen, dude, this isn't good fucking radio. It wasn't, and you got butthurt. Yeah, you got butthurt, asshole.
No.
Yeah.
I didn't. I didn't even yell at you.
Liar.
I said in fucking text. Stop.
You did, and then you yelled at me first.
No, I said in fucking.
Oh no, I'm making it up. Ian. Go back to the fucking
at
page.
twitch.lrn.fm. I said first, stop insulting me, or I will block you. And as I pointed out, Ian wouldn't even let me block you for something like that.
You, Ian.
Okay.
Big Heil, Ian.
Okay. Well,
He's a
shut
good
the fuck up
man.
because I'm not finished. When I
go
said that, you were the one who got extremely butthurt.
Yeah, I did. I got insulted. Yeah, you're right. I got
Okay,
butthurt.
so who is butthurt here?
Well, why? Why? Because I donated to you, asshole.
Yeah, see, and there it fucking goes
shit.
again. Give me a fucking Bitcoin Cash address so I can send you $5 fucking worth of it.
I did it one time for that asshole Cantwell when I was still a fan. I bought $200 worth of nigger-hating shirts and shit.
Gotta drop it.
Damn it.
Drop it. We fucking warned you repeatedly, Rev. Sorry to tell you this, but I don't know what else to say. We told you repeatedly you can't fucking
It's
say
too
that.
bad because I wanted to ask Rev a question before you dumped him.
There's no way we can take him back. He's too drunk.
Yeah, I know. He kept dropping the N word just like way more than Cantwell even does.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask him how gay he actually was. I wonder if he's so gay that if I put my butthole up against his mouth, if he'd just let me shit in his mouth, is he that gay?
I don't think that's a gay thing.
No, that's a fecophiliac.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of like they eat the poo-poo argument from that guy in Uganda, right?
Well, you never.
I mean, not all gay people are into that.
You've never heard of the gay. You never heard of the gay game, Hungry Hungry Dildos, where they try to where one gay guy puts like roast beef in another gay guy's butthole, and then he tries to dig it out with the dildo, and the first person to dig it out wins.
Come on.
No, I have not.
Come on, that's bullshit.
And I would not believe that is a real thing.
It's Hungry Hungry Dildos. It's a gay guy game.
No, it's a.
You do know that straight people have anal sex, right?
Well, this is a game where two gay guys specifically put roast beef in each other's buttholes and then try to dig them out with dildos.
Well, I mean, that sounds like it does
really
sound like
gender non-specific. If the game existed, why would they limit only to boys?
It sounds like anti-gay. It reminds me very much. Have you ever read any of Sean Baby's articles on Cracked.com?
No, say that. Okay, say that one more time. I didn't catch that.
Sean Baby on Cracked.com. He's got a number of articles. He collects old stupid books and comics and shit, and he analyzes them. One of these is an intensely homophobic comic put out by some senator or representative in like Utah or Ohio or something, and it's basically just that kind of nonsense through 50 fucking pages of poorly drawn cartoons.
Really? What? Like what I just said?
Yeah.
In the book?
Yeah, they didn't actually say roast beef or anything like that, but they talked about fisting, and just like the guy in Uganda, they eat the poo-poo. You know, that's anti-gay, anti everything except straight cis vaginal sex.
I mean, fisting is a thing, but vaginal fisting is a lot more common than anal fisting. So I would say that's more of a straight thing than a gay thing.
I don't
Once you've
want to
passed
think
a
about
baby,
fisting.
a fist ain't gonna hurt you.
Well, I was obviously being satirical, but it sounds
Right.
like what you're talking about was a little bit less satirical, I guess.
Well, I mean, yeah, because it's a real thing that a lot of these people that are passing like anti-abortion laws in Alabama and shit like that actually believe that gay people get up to. And we have the guy in Uganda whose video we could go to right now, essentially saying exactly that. I'm sure you've seen it. The whole "they eat the poo-poo" meme.
No, I haven't seen that. That's crazy. But
Well, you have to look it up because this is a state politician in Uganda which is intensely homophobic and hates gay people and trans people. Like, will put them to death. And this guy, this actual politician who is actually in charge of shit, firmly believes that gay people eat the poo-poo.
Well, maybe you could bring the clip up. But look,
I can't bring the clip up.
Well,
and
I
I think
say,
Ian is busy with more important shit. So.
Well, I just want to say this too. I've never actually seen two gay guys try to dig roast beef out of each other's butts.
How would they get it up there? Do they freeze it first? I mean, how do you get a piece of roast beef?
I mean, I don't want to get too detailed here, but it wouldn't have to be frozen. Yeah, it certainly wouldn't have to be frozen to get in there.
Yeah,
like think
dried
about
like a giant jerky.
Well, think about the roast beef in an Arby's roast beef sandwich.
Have you seen that meme of like when you take her panties off and it's got an Arby's roast beef sandwich sitting there just looking disgusting as fuck? Have you seen that? If not, I'll send it to you.
Yeah, well, there's a. Well,
I love Arby's roast beef sandwiches. Those things look
because
delicious.
I dated this chick once. I actually lived with her briefly. She turned out to be a hooker, and I didn't know it while we were dating. I figured it out pretty quickly because she was gone at like 3 o'clock in the morning doing weird random shit, wearing dresses and shit. It's not hard to figure out when you're fucking a hooker. But yeah, that was essentially my thought when I first took off her panties was, oh, okay, yeah, I'm not licking that.
Well, there are a lot of guys that would. I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen any porno movies with guys licking labias like that, but there are
is
guys.
a big difference between licking the labia of someone who is in pornography and undergoes regular STD screening and licking the pussy of what has been someone who at least has slept around before.
Yeah, sure, but if you're just talking about roast beef specifically, I mean, there's some roast beef labias in porn. I mean, I don't know if you. I mean,
sure, but we know they're not.
There are, but roast beef labias are not a result of excessive sex. They're a result of different genetics.
Sure.
So it doesn't even. I mean, you're saying it looks like it's overused. Well, it may look like that, but that's not how it got that way. It always looked that way.
No, I was just commenting because Arya said she wouldn't lick that. Now, if she means roast beef, now maybe she means it did.
It wasn't because it looked like roast beef that I wasn't going to link that.
Oh, okay. So you should have clarified that. But that was funny. That was funny because I thought you meant that that you would never lick it because it was roast beefy. Which seems mean. It seems mean to me because girls with roast beef labias need love too.
Absolutely,
I would agree.
Yeah. I mean, those labias got to get tickled.
Girls with the roast beef labias need love
They got to
too.
get eaten they got to get eaten like the sandwiches, just like the sandwiches. But you can't put that much teeth into it. I guess
not
that
just like sandwiches. You don't use your teeth, and you don't want to come at it sideways.
Well,
like
use
that.
your teeth if you do it right.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you'd want to come at it, I guess, vertically.
Well, Turd, thanks for the call. I kind of wish the conversation with Rev could have gone on a bit longer, but he is Rev, and he kept dropping words that we can't allow even here on Twitch and D Live. So that's unfortunate. But yeah, so why is it always that like Arya Uncensored evolves into some sort of conversation about sex?
Because it's uncensored and you're the host.
Fair point. Chris was actually making a similar point today when I missed Call to Freedom. He was saying something about, guys got into the conversation about John McAfee and whale fucking. He was like, I really would rather have you here for this because, we
Than
feed
Chris Wade?
No, Chris Wade was saying this to me, that he would rather have me here for that particular topic because we sort of feed off of each other and see how far we can push things. That's why I want to get him here on Arya Uncensored for one episode because I can only fucking imagine what we will end up discussing.
Really?
Because at one point, he got me on Call to Freedom to say that I will defend the rights of people to have consensual sex with dogs. On Call to Freedom. We were having that conversation. Like, that's how far he and I will push each other until one of us will actually say something that bizarre and that niche. That it just wouldn't. It sounds like it belongs on Arya Uncensored, right? It would be a natural fucking fit, I guess is what I'm saying.
Dog fucking. Or whale fucking, or just the combination
Chris
of
Wade
the two.
coming
or Chris
on to
Wade in general.
Arya Uncensored.
That's funny because he's always struck me as so straight-laced for a gay guy.
Well, yeah, definitely. I would tend to agree. Great guy, but he.
Yeah, I love Chris.
I would never have fucking guessed in my life that he was gay. Never would have.
Yeah.
And I didn't know, until a long time after.
He's totally one of those gay guys where you just have no idea.
No, I never saw it fucking coming. And I don't care. Obviously, I don't fucking care.
I think I knew when I first met him, so I don't think I ever asked myself.
Interesting.
I don't know.
I certainly never saw it coming. But he's a great guy. I would love to do an episode of Arya Uncensored with him, but I don't think the schedules really coordinate well enough for us to do that. But yeah, that would be a wild episode. It would be a fun episode.
It could well be.
They usually are pretty fun. I wish we could have kept Rev on longer because he kept.
You're pining. I think maybe you've got a little thing for him too.
I think maybe you smoke too much weed.
I think that's a completely separate issue.
Rev creates interesting dialogue. I'm not going to deny that. He certainly does. And there were a lot of things that he said that I think are worth discussing, like the fact that calling him a faggot triggers him so much. Because it is triggering. What we saw there was him being triggered by being called a faggot. And I think that really substantiates my accusation that I made like a month ago or whenever it was, that he is dealing with extreme latent homophobia. He's gay. But
he totally sent a picture of him in a thong to the studio.
He did.
Yeah. I don't know if he's gay, but he's definitely bi. He likes the D.
No, it's worse than that. He is gay, but he hates gay people. And this creates an enormous internal conflict for him that leads him to things like Nazism and things like that as ways to push that as far from himself as he can.
So he's the Tyrone Biggums of sex.
I don't know what that means.
That was the black white supremacist from the Chappelle show. No, I'm sorry. Tyrone Biggums is the crackhead, but he's the black white supremacist.
Cletus or something that was the black white supremacist.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a bit worse than that because Cletus was, blind. He didn't know he was black. He had never experienced that. Rev, on the other hand, has evidently engaged in some degree of homosexual acts. He's experimented with it. And I understand what that's like, Growing up, I had to repress quite a lot too, even as I wanted to pursue certain things. And he seems to have... He has every check mark. If I were to make a list of someone who is latently homosexual or latently trans or latently dealing with some sort of sexual issue, he would tick off every single fucking list. And just like I ran to protein shakes and weightlifting and kickboxing and all manner of shit, he's running to Nazism. It's all about escaping what he cannot face about himself. And that brings us right back to Joseph Campbell and going into that fucking labyrinth and saying, this is what I need to deal with. I think that Rev needs to do some shrooms and needs to escape from the Nazis.
I think Rev needs to get himself some dick and find out if that's his issue, and if it is, come to terms with it.
I think he has had some dick.
Well,
I don't...
Maybe he just needs to admit to himself that he likes the D. And maybe mushrooms will help with that now that you mention it. Okay, I see where you're going with that.
I don't know to what extent, he can really face that. I think it would probably be a process or something like that, but it certainly wouldn't be easy. None of that ever is,
No.
I had to deal with all the bullshit in Vegas before I was like, okay, it's time to analyze things, pick up the pieces, and figure out exactly what the fuck just happened and why I fucking did it. He's going to have to go through something like that. No, nobody ever goes into the labyrinth willingly, I guess.
Well, I don't know. Is taking the mushrooms going into the labyrinth willingly? You know what's going to happen.
It can be. Holy shit, though. On the subject of mushrooms, so last night, right, like an hour and a half after I had taken some shrooms, I went out to smoke, and there's this bush like right here, just off to the side of the porch, and it looks exactly like 3 hooded fucking figures just glaring at me. As evil as anything I've ever seen. So I told them there's absolutely no need to be so menacing.
This is the trees you were talking to?
Yes.
Okay.
I literally said this to a fucking bush. And I knew it was a bush, but it stopped me in my tracks because I was on shrooms and it didn't. I knew it was a bush, but it didn't look like a bush. Right. Obviously. So that was a weird thing. And it sort of sent me into this sort of anxiety spiral, which was weird because I've never experienced anxiety on shrooms before. But
really?
Yeah, but I ended up going inside watching some fucking movie. I don't remember what the fuck it was for about an hour. Next time I went out to smoke, it was 3 fucking gnomes, right? Dancing in the fucking wind. Like dancing and swaying and shit and trying hard to point me in one particular direction. And I wasn't, tripping balls or anything like that. I wasn't. And besides which, even if I was tripping balls, I'm a grounded enough person to know that I was just hallucinating this, or not really hallucinating this, but because it wasn't a hallucination, it was just seeing vivid details, my brain painting vivid details that weren't actually there.
Right.
Obviously, I'm sure you've done
your
shrooms
pattern
before.
Pattern matcher was working overtime.
Yeah, which is essentially that's exactly it. So I was not in any danger of running out into the street or wherever the fuck they were pointing me or anything like that. But it was curious to me how they evolved from these 3 cloaked figures that initially I perceived as wishing me some sort of harm into these happy dancing dwarf dudes or chicks, I don't know, because I still can't see that much detail, who were just happy to exist. The first time I saw them, I was like, this bush is a problem tomorrow when I'm doing the rest of the yard, I'm going to destroy it.
You were just going to whack that bush.
I was just going to destroy the whole
no
fucking
bush
thing.
looks at me like that and lives.
Right, but the next time I came out, I mean, I was menaced by a fucking plant, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, to me, I wasn't telling the plant that there was absolutely no need to be so menacing. I was telling myself that, and the inner subconscious that was interpreting the plants in that way.
Right.
Right. And even then, tripping on mushrooms, we have an incoming call. I was able to recognize that and see that. And understand that, you know, this is all something that I'm projecting. I'm creating this negativity that I'm perceiving. It's not actually fucking there. And that's an interesting aspect of anxiety, and it's why I say that anxiety is a problem of ego. The reason that people with anxiety interpret, you know, someone sending a text message near them as someone saying something bad about them, or somebody whispering near them as somebody saying something bad about them, is because their ego is so out of control that they assume that everyone else is fixated on them. And that's obviously not the case.
Well, usually it's not. It's the paradox of You're So Vain.
It's obvious, yeah.
You probably think this song is about you. Well, it is.
It clearly is, right?
And that's the thing. One guy is right.
Yeah, right, but we're talking about anxiety here and
right.
not this niche song, because I think the anxiety issue is more important, because many people deal with anxiety, myself among them. I have extreme anxiety problems, and I'm able to recognize that it's nothing more than my out-of-control ego assuming that other people are as fixated on me and my existence as I am. But I was able to see then that the menacing figures, the menacing hooded figures who were sitting there and just sort of swaying at me and watching me menacingly were just fucking plants. And I was telling them not to be so menacing, but I wasn't really telling them that. I was telling myself that. And the next time I came out, they weren't menacing. They were just chilling and dancing in the fucking wind. Yeah. And I think that was a positive experience that in time, well, because that's why I do psychedelics in the first place, is to have experiences like that. And I realize, you know, that's such a cliche thing to say, but the reality is that those sorts of things, they do impact you.
It's important to be able to play well with your demons.
Exactly.
You know.
And I was able to see these demons as, you know, projections of whatever I was feeling otherwise. And I was able to recognize, you know, I am creating this. This is 100% of my creation, and I can put an end to it.
We have met the enemy, and they is us.
Yeah. Who's on the line? We're joined now by Rev, presumably, who, Rev, you cannot say the N-word.
Okay, I'm sorry. I do apologize. Seriously, lo siento.
Okay. What's on your mind?
All right. Well, thanks for having me back, first of all. I know the quality is better on Discord, but so I covered a lot of what I wanted to cover with you, and I appreciate it. I just wanted to say this. The thing that bothered me personally, Arya, and it doesn't speak to most people, so without insults, without stupid stuff, all I'm saying is I looked up to you in a lot of ways, even though you're a few years younger than me, because you would take the amount of abuse that you would sometimes just for being trans, just for being who you are, etc., and it legitimately looked naturally like it did not affect you, you know? But so how weird was it to me that when I was questioning, you know,
I'm sorry that I revealed to you that I'm a human being and not a piece of stone, Rev.
Who said you're not a human being, though? You know, you're ad hominem me already. I'm just trying to tell you that when you...
No, that's essentially what you're saying, is that, you know, I saw you as just this strong, immortal person, and then I saw you in a moment of invulnerability.
I didn't say immortal. I said I saw you as a strong person overall who just so happened to be trans, which you may still be in many ways, and I think you are. But what you're not strong in, no offense, Arya, and I'm not the strongest in everything, too, like you just tried to accuse me of being a closet homosexual. I wish that were my issue. I wish, let's just say, okay? But the point is, you know, you were so, like, the idea that you would be called, not you even, but an argument would be, hey, talking about do eggs exist? I get it. Do molecules exist? I get it. Do individuals or groups exist?
Are you still fixated on that?
Well, you still are for 40 minutes in radio. I mean, for 3 episodes. Like, come on.
No. What I'm asking you. No, we're talking about different things here. What I'm asking you is, are you still fixated on me threatening to block you for telling me to stop, for telling you to stop insulting me and calling me autistic?
Yeah, because it was a cowardly thing to do that's not consistent with your character, and you should know that.
There's nothing cowardly about not wanting to deal with your shit, bro.
It's very cowardly.
Lots of
Rich,
people
Mr.
don't want to deal with
Libertarian,
your
both
shit.
of you, Mr.
It would not
Sorry,
have
free
mattered.
speech.
It would not have mattered in what manner you were insulting me at that particular moment. You know, you realize that I am a human being, you know?
Yeah.
I am not a piece of fucking stone that is not impacted by anything. I go through shit just like you, Rev.
Right, but why are you so offended at that, Arya? Why could you not say, look,
You
Reviler,
can call
you're
me
annoying
autistic
me a little.
all the fuck you want right now, and I don't give a shit. The issue then, as I told you then, you know, I even told you this on Telegram when I reached out to you about this, or you reached out to me, or whatever the fuck. I don't remember what the fuck happened, but I told you clearly that I was just dealing with other shit that day, and you ended up hitting a nerve.
No, okay.
That
later
doesn't
on,
mean that nerve
you
is
did.
always exposed, right?
Later on, you did.
Okay.
You did the right thing later on.
Then what
but
is
it's
the
not
issue?
That.
Oh my God! I had a moment of fucking humanity where I revealed I'm a fucking
Arya,
human being and not a piece of stone. I actually have emotions
see,
and I
you
actually react to
obfuscate.
things emotionally,
You
occasionally.
You act just like the leftists that you make fun of, or the right wingers that you make fun of. You get emotional and you get crazy like a real woman about shit.
On this
okay?
one
Even Rich Paul
occasion,
and Ian told you
hold
this. You
on,
got
time
mad
out,
at
Rev.
them.
On this one occasion, in the probably fucking 75, 100 times that we fucking interacted on the air, on this one fucking occasion, I had a moment of weakness.
And let me say,
and you're calling me a fucking SJW leftist because of this?
Yes.
In her defense,
Yeah.
Arya's
Go ahead,
as
Rich
crazy as any other woman I've known, and I'll fight any man who says differently. No, I won't, because I really don't have time for that. But
no, and we need to take a moment because I need to go take a smoke. Rev, if you want to sit with us for a minute, that's fine. Yeah. But I don't know. Collect your thoughts and put them into a concise, clear form instead of just randomly jumping from one issue you have with me
Can't
to
do that.
another. I mean, sit down for
I
a
don't
moment.
even think if he put notes down, he'd be able to stick to them.
I would like for you to put notes down.
What do you want to play?
I bet if he put
you said you want
notes
a break.
down
What do
on
you
his desk, they'd stick.
I don't know. I think the latest stuff on SoundCloud is all stuff. Go with
Oh, your SoundCloud. Hang on.
A Moment of Your Time version 5 or 4, whichever one is the
I see
most
5
recent
here.
one. Okay, perfect. This is a song I'm working on. Ignore the drum machine. I'm sorry, it wasn't supposed to be included. But we'll be back in a moment. Don't go anywhere. This is Arya Uncensored. Welcome back. This is Aria Uncensored. Welcome to the second-ish hour-ish of it. We were actually talking, just before we went out, we were talking about Rick and Morty, which is something I really want to get into because Season 4 is coming up. And I've got to be honest, just like the upcoming Tool album, I don't really fucking care. Rick and Morty, just like Tool, has been sort of hijacked by this group of fans who cling to particular aspects of it without comprehending, and I don't want to say that in regards to Tool because it's very different what's happening with Tool and Rick and Morty. But people who watch Rick and Morty, they cling to specific aspects of it and ignore the rest. And we see this a lot in regard to the philosophy known as nihilism, or Nietzscheanism, as I prefer to call it, because nihilism as a whole has been co-opted by these fucking people. And the reason it bothers me is because I am Rick fucking Sanchez. I did drop out of school, high school, because it was a waste of fucking time. I did end up going on to college because I live in the real world where I had to, do that sort of thing. But I did drop out of high school. I did not ever do my homework. I failed classes for not ever fucking doing my homework because it was a waste of fucking time. I do have the philosophy that nothing fucking objectively matters. And that brings us around to the nihilism issue that I have with Rick and Morty fans in general, and the nihilist caucus of the Libertarian Party, is that they fixate on this "it doesn't matter" thing, that nothing matters, and that's entirely wrong from any sort of viewpoint. The correct statement is that nothing objectively matters. It's not that nothing subjectively matters. I mean, sure, it matters to me whether or not I'm happy, and it doesn't matter to me whatsoever whether it's going to matter or have any meaning, rather, in 10 billion years, whether or not this person known as Arya Demenza, who existed on Earth during this tiny microcosm of Earth's existence, was happy. That's completely irrelevant. That's completely removed from my reality. My reality is this moment right here. And we have all of these mental blocks, these fixations on the past and the future, what's going to come, but none of that is relevant. We exist on the razor's edge between what has been and what will be. And obviously, it's a good idea to look into what will be and to take actions on that razor's edge that will precipitate a better what will be than what would ordinarily exist. But just because it doesn't matter doesn't mean it can't matter to you. And that's where the Nihilist Caucus and the Rick and Morty fans, when you start discussing these things, they'll start quoting Rick and Morty and things like that without actually grasping it. They'll go, oh yeah, the universe is too big, it's too infinite, none of this fucking matters. So that's not the fucking point. And you're leaving off the very last thing that's even said in the Rick and Morty episodes that you're referencing. It's that none of this matters, let's watch television.
Yeah, which is very close. I mean, I'm not a complete nihilist, and I don't claim that title necessarily, but the original name of the Church of the Invisible Hand, before I decided to make it a church, was the philosophy of subjectivism, which was partially an answer to Ayn Rand and her.
Isn't that curious that they call theirs objectivism? Because Ayn Rand was a huge fan of Nietzsche. Nietzsche inspired much of her work. But they sort of take objectivism and completely misinterpret it. What they mean by objectivism is a rationalism, a removal of emotion from one's perspective, which is a great thing, and I would encourage everyone to do it. But they don't mean actual objectivism, because such a thing doesn't exist. We are subjects. We are literally subjects. Everything that we experience, everything that we know to be, is subjective by definition. But they call this objectivism. It becomes, Nietzsche would hate it. It becomes a new form of God to them. Oh, well, this is the objective truth.
Yeah. And that's where Ayn Rand went wrong in a couple of places. The other thing is the index of her books refers you to Man, Economy, and State and to Human Action by Ludwig von Mises, but yet when she talks about value, she's very insistent that value is objective. And
really?
And so that's always been and you know, Ayn Rand is what I call an estimated prophet of the church, but we call them estimated prophets because none of them are right about everything, and also because of the Grateful Dead song.
Well, I guess let's go back to Rav. Rev, did you collect your thoughts while I was out smoking?
Oh, I guess I drank a little more Seagram's peach vodka.
That does not sound like you collected your thoughts.
Shit.
I did. Hey,
Okay.
you know what? Guess what? If you were gonna see on my channels, this hot little English girl was doubting me about that. She's like, "You're just going to gain weight again,
Rev.
stupid." And I'm like, "Shut your ass up, bitch!" You know. And I did it. And man, I just drank for 2 days, a little bit of liquor here and there. My stomach, honey, slims out like slimmer than Arya's. I ain't even kidding. So once in a while,
first of
I
all-
recommend you all cut your calories.
No,
if
it
you used to
isn't.
Be fat like me, and get on that. Fitness, right? Don't undermine race or nation or even libertarianism. Don't make people fat, stupid, and docile. Go ahead, hon.
Is
Yeah.
that your contribution here?
Well, I guess the last. I don't know what y'all were saying. I tried to tune in for a second on Twitch with Rich Paul talking and them, but I didn't want to cut off.
You give me a
Look, all
headache
I'm gonna
sometimes,
say is
Rev.
all right, let me be honest with you. Wait, I miss being a fan of yours. All right,
That's
I
a
wish
weird
I-
thing
I,
to
like,
say.
I'm-
Dude, you're as fanatical as you ever were. You're just twisted
Well,
in a
yeah, thank
different
you.
direction right now.
I take that as a compliment. You talk to me, Rich, personally. You've heard my voice on Telegram. You know how I speak. I'm not some stupid trailer trash KKK redneck.
Okay,
You know
Rev, chill
that.
out. I don't
all right.
object to you listening to the show or to you calling the show or any of that. I don't object to you message me on Telegram. I don't care about any of that. But you have to understand that I am a fucking human being, right?
I do.
Well, I don't think you do. Because you seem to anticipate that you seem to view me as something that I'm not and that I could never, you seem to have this expectation of me that I could never fucking live up to. That no one could ever live up to.
Of not getting like really emotionally flustered or bothered at one statement. I guess if somebody would be emotional.
Occasionally getting flustered and
Okay.
bothered.
Okay, but Aria, let's be fair, hon. The flustering and the bothering was a bit more. You know, like the first time you blew up, you had a bad day. I got that. I left that alone. I even told Arnold and Scotty that. Whatever, you know. And I still, by the way, don't know why you haven't been on those guys' thing. Scotty set up, but whatever. Maybe they feel weird about it because of me. I don't think they do. They said you're welcome on anytime. You're still part of their group. They're part of my group. I'm not. But anyway,
They're
I
just
was
kinda
acting
busy.
crazy one night.
I mean, I'm going to be on
All
the
right, yeah.
League of Extraordinary Atheists and Humanists podcast as well, but I mean, everybody is so busy, self-included,
No,
that
I know.
it's hard to
All right,
coordinate
okay.
these sorts of things. But
okay, well, you're still, even the Nazis still welcome you, so there you go. So the point is that the second time, it wasn't just the first time having a bad day, right? It was the second time, like, your personal life. You exposed it. I get it that it's hard. That's why I barely do it with me. I did it a little bit with you privately with Telegram, like that time I cried like a homosexual. You saw that, right? You saw that.
Rev,
no,
thank
you
you.
did. You laughed at that.
Rev,
That
thank you
wasn't
for
funny
the. It was funny. Thank you for the call. I do appreciate it. We got Rusty, who's calling in from Texas, who has, I think, a psychology question.
Thank you so much, Rusty.
Yeah, well, it's not psychology. It's more about hallucinogenics because my understanding, Penn Jillette of Penn and Teller, he kind of takes the opposite view of just shrooms and that in general. He's a teetotaler, abstains from drinking, abstains from smoking, and really for the purpose of saying he believes, you know, I'm not going to put words in his mouth, but he wants to live the realest life possible and, you know, experience it completely. And he would view those more as kind of, I would assume maybe escapism or something along those lines. It would take away from the experience. Why would he be wrong and you be right, or how do you perceive that?
I perceive it as a difficult question. It's going to take me a moment to answer, so bear with me for a moment. A lot of people have alleged in the past that psychedelics are a sort of shortcut to enlightenment, but they aren't. They are sort of a gateway or a window into what enlightenment could be for that particular individual. But it's not like tripping on shrooms once every 6 months is going to make someone into the Buddha or something like that. And I do characterize myself as a Buddhist, right? You have to also put in the emotional work. You have to experience these things, and whether you experience them through just sober self-reflection or through shrooms or through whatever psychedelics, it doesn't ultimately matter to me as long as you do go down into that labyrinth to face the Minotaur. A lot of people don't. Myself, I do have PTSD. I've come to terms with that in the past week or two since the first shroom experience, because I remembered today something that I had actually forgotten, which was that I was literally tortured as a child by one of my mom's boyfriends who thought it was just the funniest shit ever to hold me over an honest to fuck well, threatening to drop me into it. And he just thought it was fucking hilarious. It's something that I buried and forgot about, but certainly something that affected me going forward. All that kind of shit, it wouldn't have happened if I hadn't had that psychedelic experience that sent me into that internal pit for me to analyze what was there. Some people can do that through extensive meditation, but some people are different and need some sort of push. To me, neither one of us is wrong, neither myself nor Penn Jillette. We just have different approaches to what we think is the maximal individual.
Would you recommend he try shrooms, or someone who would be, would they have a benefit from that, or
I would
is
not.
it just a different process? Are they,
I mean, for someone like Penn Jillette, honestly, I would probably recommend something like DMT, which I'm actually trying to find at the moment, because he's going to need something more extensive than shrooms, especially if he's already predisposed to dislike shrooms. He's going to have a really powerful, because a lot of people interpret these psychedelic experiences as more than they actually are. I've got a friend on Facebook who insists that, he does DMT and he encounters extra dimensional beings and all kinds of other crazy shit. And he believes that this is proof that that more dimensions exist and all kinds of other things. That's not what I think the point of any of this is supposed to be. That's just a way of the psychedelics allowing him to escape further away from the labyrinth that he needs to go into. Rather than going into the labyrinth, he creates this entire mess of other worlds that make the labyrinth ultimately meaningless. And for someone like Penn Jillette, who is already very, who already lives a very considered life, I don't think something minor like shrooms or LSD would necessarily have a lot of advantage to him.
All right, and one last thing here. First time listening to the show, really like when you were talking about kind of shrooms, things like that. Last thing would be, so is Alex Jones right when he says, there's interdimensional demons and everything, when I think he says he's at a DMT and all that stuff, or that just sounds kind of out there to me. Or do you link credence to that? Do you think maybe it's a way into seeing
all psychedelic
other
experiences happen within the head of the person undergoing the psychedelic experience? That's my rationalist scientific position on the matter. I don't believe that Alex Jones or what is the other guy, Joe Rogan, has actually encountered extraterrestrials or extra-dimensional beings or whatever. One of the reasons that I'm seeking out DMT, in fact, is to explore this particular thing that they keep suggesting is real and I don't believe to be real. I will need hard evidence, and I don't think that taking some psychedelic that sends me tripping into my own internal brain is going to be proof of anything that's external. And even if I do come out of it convinced...
Hold on, how can you prove anything that's external?
Well, I mean, exactly. Right.
How can you prove anything? I mean, if God himself kicked Ian out of his chair, sat down and started performing miracles, I wouldn't know I'd met an omnipotent being. All I would know is that I'd met something more powerful than me.
Right.
Could just as easily be something that could
would be
cloud
the
my
rationalist
mind.
perspective on it.
Regarding
right?
Penn Jillette, I want to add this in because you'd asked about, should he do psychedelic? I would say that considering his attitude of, he's kind of like, we've got a guy here in Keene who's like him, who looks kind of, I don't know if Penn Jillette looks down on it, but the idea of that altering your state of consciousness is bad. I want to experience life as it is. And
but part of life as it is those psychedelics.
Well, there's a strong argument for that. But if I could convince Penn Jillette to alter his state of consciousness, which, by the way, Penn Jillette, from what I understand, also really likes sex, and there's definitely some altered state of consciousness involved in that. So that's a whole other thing. But if I could get him to do it with a chemical, My first would be MDMA. That would be my starter for somebody. I wouldn't jump them into the deep end with a psychedelic. I would put them on MDMA so they could feel generally positive. If you put somebody on a psychedelic for the first time and they're not ready for it, they're probably going to have a bad trip, and it's not going to be a positive experience for them. However, it's almost impossible to have a negative experience. I'm not saying it's impossible.
Oh, no, I've had 4 in a row.
I'm just saying it's almost impossible for a negative experience to happen to somebody on MDMA. And so I would feel best about starting him there. What do you think, Rich Paul?
I would say start with weed. Make sure that, because if
even with that you could have a negative experience.
Well, that's the thing.
You can have it with
you
MDMA
can also
as
have
well.
a powerful experience on weed, and
True.
maybe that's enough for a first time. It's low risk. People have died of MDMA. People have
No, they
died.
haven't.
Yeah, they have.
They've died from dehydration from
Exactly.
dancing too hard in a club with no water while on MDMA.
True.
I'm 100% with Ian on this one. MDMA has killed no one. Stupidity and recklessness have killed people. People
Yeah,
have
if you were
died from
gonna
alcohol.
have Penn Jillette take
MDMA.
MDMA, you'd want to make sure you had water there, okay, and then he'd survive it.
Like the first time I gave my father MDMA.
Well, and it's good to have a sitter.
That's what I'm talking about.
Well, oh, okay.
But you don't even need a sitter during MDMA. It's not going to take you out of reality. It's not going to make you believe that the bushes,
Most of the time, you're
elves
absolutely right. But there are people who have allergic reactions to people.
Nothing's
Things
perfect. You can't
happen.
guarantee
yeah,
that.
exactly. So there's.
But that can happen with cannabis
There's
as well.
always risk. Yeah. The thing. But I would say cannabis would be the least risk, and my first.
But it's also not
few
going to be the most
experiences
profound.
getting-
I
I
mean,
agree
what
with
we're
that.
trying to do is strike a balance between something that will open his mind to the possibility of other
I think
experiences.
MDMA is incredibly low risk, Rich. I think you are.
I
honestly think you have
I think
a
weed
worse.
should be the gateway drug.
I think you'd have a worse. You are more likely to have a negative experience with cannabis than you are with MDMA, in my opinion.
I would agree. It's really hard.
Interesting.
You have to have a lot of fucking demons to have a negative experience with MDMA.
For sure.
Because, I mean, it's like designed to make you happy.
You see, well, MDMA for me is great in that it induces connection, but most of the time if I take it alone, it just induces desire for connection, but there's nothing to connect to. So it's just
I
like,
don't know
great,
about taking MDMA alone.
I'm connected to nothing. And now I'm nobody.
That's interesting. Maybe I should try MDMA and shrooms.
There's a name for that.
And
I know candy flipping is LSD and MDMA.
I don't remember what it is. But
I don't
there's a
remember
name.
what it is for sure. But LSD and shrooms are very, very different things. Both fun, but
hippie flip. Oh, I'm sorry. You're saying MDMA and mushrooms?
I meant LSD. LSD and shrooms are very different experiences. I may have said MDMA, but I meant shrooms and LSD. They're very different experiences. LSD is more of a trip, in my opinion. It's more of a hallucinogen, while shrooms have and I don't like the word spiritual, obviously, and we've talked about this on Call to Freedom and Aria Ancestry repeatedly, but it has a more powerful going into the labyrinth element to it than LSD does.
They've called shrooms and LSD entheogens, which the root word of that is basically it means the God within.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
That's beautiful.
Instead of calling it a psychedelic, which is like, shit's getting crazy, like.
Well, it does.
And entheogen is more of an internal acknowledgement of what the drugs do.
I don't know.
That's
I've
good. I like
had
that.
trips on mushrooms that were just as intense as my LSD trips.
It may have
In
been as
general,
intense, but
though-
it was of an entirely different nature. Like
The
I've
most
been on so
intense
much.
trip was a mushrooms trip for me.
I've been on so much LSD that I took a fucking golden water bowl to fucking God, the creator of the universe. Right? I've never had an experience like that on shrooms because shrooms instead send me inward, while LSD doesn't necessarily do that.
Yeah, see, I've had experiences with.
But as I was saying,
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
weird, and that I do view psychedelics as an opportunity to journey inward into the labyrinth to face things that we otherwise would not be inclined to face.
Yeah, definitely. I just find that from both. And to me,
and there's scientific research to
is,
support this. I mean, there's scientific evidence to support that psilocybin cubensis, that's shrooms for people who are listening and are unfamiliar with the terminology, they actually do cure, not treat, but cure depression.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what pharmaceutical or psychological benefit LSD could actually have, but I know shrooms are extremely therapeutic, and that's why I'm 100% open about my usage of shrooms, and I don't give a fuck who criticizes me for that. Do you have any fucking idea what I've actually been through? Like, before I was 12 years old, I had been through more shit than most people are ever going to deal with through their entire lives, as we were talking about earlier. I was literally tortured as a fucking kid by someone who just found it fucking funny to terrorize the shit out of me on a regular fucking basis. That's what I fucking grew up in, right? With my mother both of my parents on fucking heroin and opiates and shit. One of them getting murdered, the other one being a useless fucking waste of space, abusive and wrecking and murdering people himself. That was my fucking experience. So it's no surprise whatsoever that I have PTSD and I have difficulties dealing with that. And things like shrooms and MDMA, they help me, I don't want to say they help me cope with it because that's not accurate, but they help me internalize, they help me focus, and they help me analyze different things that I need to be focused on and that I need to deal with. Whereas, like MDMA, the last time I took it was, well, it wasn't the last time, but the most recent, that's not even accurate either, but the life-changing experience that I had on MDMA was not at a rave, although I've certainly done my fair share of that. It was not having sex or anything like that. It was at fucking Pork Fest of last year when I took fucking ecstasy, MDMA, and I sat there, and like 2 hours later, I told Will Coley, I hate myself. That was one of the most profound things I've ever fucking said. And I had to deal with that in the coming weeks because that feeling didn't fucking go away. It still hasn't fucking gone away. It's never going to fucking go away. But if I hadn't had that experience with MDMA that opened me up to him, to even allow me to say that to another person, to expose that vulnerability to another fucking human being, because I'm not naturally vulnerable to people. I'm a fucking ice wall to fucking everybody. That's why fucking Steven and Derek J, I can't remember, I don't know why the fuck I spaced on his name, thought that I fucking hated them when I first met them. It's because I'm a fucking wall of ice with people.
Yeah, I thought you hated me too.
Yeah, see, and so did you. It's
still,
not uncommon.
I'm still not entirely sure, but
most people seem to think that I'm
go.
just a fucking wall of ice. No, it's because I'm a complex person, right? I do experience all the same emotions everyone else does, but I keep them extremely well guarded because of all of that past and shit like that. Things like MDMA, shrooms, LSD, they allow me to go into the self because I tend to do these things alone. Except for MDMA, which you really need to have someone with you to open up to, or you're going to have a bad time.
Yeah.
More often than not on MDMA. But they allow one to go into the self and to expose that vulnerability to other people, or to go into the self and face that vulnerability for oneself. And those are powerful sentiments. And I think someone like Penn Jillette, who probably isn't carrying around a lot of emotional baggage, probably doesn't have a great deal of demons. And then again, he might, you know, I don't know. I know he, you know, ran away from home and joined the circus or whatever. So he might have his own fair share of demons. I don't presume to know his life story, but for the most part, I don't know.
What?
For the most part, people won't have that sort of need for a psychedelic in their life. Most people live automatically. And I think that a psychedelic would probably help them break out of that. But before they are able to break out of that, they have to be willing to.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know
Rusty,
that many
are you still there?
Yeah, no, I'm just listening in. The only thing, kind of more questions with MDMA. Don't you have what they call like a Blues Tuesday or something? Like after it spikes.
Everybody's different with it when it comes to MDMA. I personally have never experienced this, but I've never gone insane and like overboard with MDMA.
Oh, good God. I had a dude trying to seduce me by feeding me MDMA, And I was too naive then. I was like 18. I didn't realize what was going on. But I experienced it regularly then because
The Blues Tuesday?
Yeah, because we would take MDMA.
How many?
It seemed to be a sort of normal aspect of it. Probably.
How many would you take, though?
How much MDMA?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. We didn't measure
it
them
more
in
than one
milligrams.
dose?
We measured them in like double stacks and triple stacks because
So you were taking more than one dose at a time.
it was 100% black market. So I
But
don't
you were
know.
taking
And
more
you
than
were
one.
taking rolls.
With a
not-
term like double
Right.
stack or triple stack, that suggests you were taking 2 or 3 times.
Oh,
the
it was always
normal
triple
dose.
stacks.
So you were taking essentially a
But
3 times the normal dose.
I don't know what milligram is in a triple stack.
Obviously you don't, but the general concept there is you're taking 3 times the normal dose. So you're more likely to experience whatever depletion that it is that the Blues Tuesdays refer to. Personally, I've never taken much more than 1, maybe another half or something like that later on in the night. And usually the next day it's like glowing for me. It's like, wow, feel great. Everything's cool. What a great night. All's well.
Interesting.
So I think it depends on your biological makeup, but also the amount of dosing that you do. I mean, if it opens up your serotonin receptors, right? So if you're tripling that, then you're going to have a more intense kind of reaction the next day when things are trying to get back to normal.
Well, the next day was never really depressing or anything like that.
Well,
It was
that's
just
what Blues Tuesdays suggests.
Well, I mean, it was more like a hangover.
Okay.
Really.
Yeah, I've never had that.
That
with
was the
MDMA.
best way to characterize it. Would just be a very extreme hangover, often with a headache and with a really strong desire
Never
to
had a
not
headache.
people at all. Like, I do not want to
Yeah.
people today.
See, I'm just like, it's all good. Everything's cool.
I've never had any of that, and I have taken larger doses. I've never had the headache. I've had a little bit of grumpy the next day, and maybe
You didn't
a little
mix it with anything,
spacier
right?
than
You
usual.
didn't have alcohol the same night? Okay.
Just weed. And I don't think
I
that
appreciate
actually
y'all
mixes.
sharing your experiences. Thanks for the chat.
Thanks.
Yeah,
for the call.
thank you, Rusty, for the call. We certainly appreciate it. I like psychedelics. I think that as far as drugs go, they are a beneficial thing to mankind. And again, that's why I'm upfront about doing them. Everyone at work knows I occasionally do psychedelics. It's not an issue. It's not like I come to work stoned up or tripping balls or anything like that.
You work at a pizza parlor. I mean, pretty much it's known that everybody at a pizza place is getting high.
Yeah, everybody's high in
Yeah.
some way.
I remember Hungry Howie's, dude?
Oh, yeah.
Did you ever have those in Mississippi?
No.
I worked for Hungry Howie's.
I believe it. I remember there was a guy I knew at Hungry Howie's. They all smoked out. The whole crew would go out back and get blazed.
We did
The
that in Mississippi.
Entire crew.
Yep.
But only at the end of the night. We didn't.
No, this was right in the middle of the shift.
That is awesome.
Yeah, most of my pizza work was actually while I was in recovery, so I wasn't getting high with them.
But everyone else was. Right?
Everybody else was.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very different culture, the sort of environment that I work in anyway. So it's sort of expected that you're going to have one person there who is just a psychedelic guru, so to speak, sort of like in Waiting, the movie Waiting, where you have this one person who's just sort of off to themselves and just, I don't know how to describe it. You'd have to watch the movie Waiting. It's not important anyway.
Interesting.
But I'm upfront about it because I don't see a problem with it. I think that it's beneficial to me as a person. I would rather do shrooms or some sort or LSD or MDMA or something along those lines once every 6 months or whatever than take antidepressants or Klonopin every fucking day. And that's ultimately the options that I'm faced with because I'm not going to lie. I've got a lot of fucking baggage to fucking deal with, right?
Yeah.
The options are to take Klonopin, which I used to do. I was on Klonopin in Mississippi. I had a legitimate prescription, everything, because of my anxiety, which I think is probably more understandable being a trans person living in Mississippi, having more pronounced anxiety issues.
Yeah, and having PTSD causes anxiety. That's one of the symptoms. There's
Sure.
And chances are being trans there and then also leads to PTSD, which leads to anxiety.
Well, for the most part, it's probably all related. I'm not willing to say it's not. For all I know, the reason I'm trans is because of all of that bullshit. I don't know one way or the other. I do know that for whatever it's worth, I've been trans at least since I was 3 years old, before the bullshit began. But none of that is ultimately relevant. What matters to me, no, thank you. What matters to me is that I exist here and now. And then I primarily had access to pharmaceuticals prescribed to me by doctors. And those were things like Klonopin. And those helped for the time being. But I did make the conscious decision. I briefly tried antidepressants. I don't remember exactly which one. But I briefly tried them. And I was like, you know, I'm not really getting anything out of this. I can feel how it's changing me, how it's impacting me. And I don't like it. I don't like how it's affecting my personality. So to me, the options ultimately became, okay, well, you take anti-anxiety meds and antidepressants every single day for the rest of your life, or you deal with the actual fucking issues. And that's my issue with therapists, right? I fucking hate therapists. I think they're a total waste of fucking time. I don't need a therapist to sit around and tell me things that I already fucking know. You know, just let me do some shrooms every once in a while, or some LSD or some MDMA or something, and let me go and deal with these things. I don't need you fucking telling me your opinion about them. And that's all therapists ultimately do.
Yeah, see, to me, therapy can have a similar effect to
But I mean, what
a
are we defining?
psychedelic
But what are we defining
trip.
as therapy at this point? Are we talking about opening up to someone and being comfortable with them, or are we talking about having someone who is a quote unquote expert on psychology telling you how they interpret you through the lens of information that you have provided to them?
Well,
because in order to truly understand you, the therapist has to actually know. They have to actually go through what you've been through. They have to actually live and peer at the world through your eyes, and that's obviously impossible.
Well, no. What a therapist does, in my experience, a good one is he lets you look at the world through his eyes. Okay.
I've never met a good therapist.
Yeah. See, there was one guy. His name was Ron Harrison, and he's dead now. And he was a really good therapist, and I don't regret any time or money that I spent with him. I haven't had too many that were really good. But I don't know. Yeah, I think you're right. The psychiatric drugs, basically, they hide the symptoms. Okay, they cover up the pain, but they don't resolve any of the issues. Psychedelic.
Well, that's
drugs,
the point of the group therapy and the individualist therapy sessions with the psychologist, correct? Because when I was hospitalized for slitting my wrists and trying to kill myself, that was the process. They shoved antidepressants down your throat. They made you do group therapy, and then once every 2 or 3 days, they set you down with an actual psychologist, and you essentially repeated the same shit. And like on day one, I realized what an absolute waste of time it was. What is the value in sitting around telling other fucking damaged, insane people what my fucking issues are when I can look at them and I can see that something has absolutely broken in their heads that has completely detached them from reality? And to me, it's more a matter of I'm not detached from reality. I simply didn't want to be a part of it any longer.
Well, first off, I don't know that group therapy is going to do you any good if the other members of the group are completely detached from reality. Because
there was some fucking.
You're
good
not.
God, it was a state. It was a state hospital, a state behavioral hospital.
Yeah, ain't nobody got time for that. And a state therapist is not going to be any good. Chances are. I mean, I don't want to. Some of them, I'm sure. Are
well, even non-state therapists, I ran into the same thing where they were anxious to shove you into one of a few specific boxes that they understood and that they could analyze and for which they could prescribe drugs. They weren't interested in actually understanding you as much as they were understanding an interpretation of you.
Right. See, the guy that I saw that was good was he was actually a chemical dependency therapist, but I saw him for a long time after I got sober, but mostly what we talked about were things like defects of character. And so it was looking into, my life isn't working, why not? What do I need to change about my behavior? And I think that can be very useful because a lot of times people will have insights into things that I don't.
But I use psychedelics for literally exactly the same thing. So what purpose is there in therapists?
I would say that they may be two paths to the same goal, or
That was
or
exactly
a
my
very
point
similar
for the most
goal.
part. Except the therapist, by and large, also wants to shove pharmaceuticals down your throat that will change your personality.
Yeah, and I'm not a big fan of pharmaceuticals. Although generally, when I think of a therapist,
This
I'm
is a
thinking
person
of
who is
somebody who
literally
isn't
just
a
talking about
doctor.
eating MDMA. By the way,
Huh?
I don't consider MDMA to be a pharmaceutical, but it's worth pointing out that I'm criticizing pharmaceuticals at the same time as I'm talking about eating mushrooms and LSD and MDMA, two of which are synthesized by humans.
What would make it a pharmaceutical in your mind?
I don't know.
I mean, it used to be legal.
Yeah.
And
well, it's not
it
legality.
Was manufactured in and like, what would make it a pharmaceutical then?
I don't know.
It's a chemical that's manufactured in a laboratory environment.
That's exactly what I was getting at. Is that there? Certainly, I just espoused a bunch of hypocrisy.
Yeah. I mean,
I would certainly argue that there's a difference between LSD and MDMA and something like I can't even think of any antidepressants off the top of my head. But I think the difference
Prozac, Zoloft.
There we go, Prozac. I think the main difference, the most important difference, would be the side effects of these things. Like LSD, I mean, sure, it has very acute and specific side effects. And if you took LSD every single day in the same way that you take antidepressants every single day, I'm sure it would be substantially worse for your body and for your brain chemistry than some sort of antidepressant.
Not.
But because of the power of LSD, you don't have to take. You think you could take LSD every single day and be fine? I think you would be dead within 6 months.
Because a lot of people microdose every day.
Yeah, I mean, how much LSD are you talking about? You can take a fraction of a dose.
Any dose of LSD will become a microdose if you take it every day. You won't get off every day.
It'll be normal.
You'll be in this almost tripping state, which is hyper alert, hyper aware. I find I'm more gregarious, like this.
But see, that becomes
acid
hiding.
that I've got. I was taking.
No. Hold on, because that just becomes a new form of hiding from one's demons. It's not.
I disagree.
Well, let me
it's
finish the
necessary.
fucking
Okay,
statement,
go
and you
ahead.
might not disagree. That's just a new way of not going into the labyrinth. At that point, when you're microdosing every single day, you're just escaping from the demons. I don't know how else to characterize it, because at that point, you might as well just be taking antidepressants every single day. You know, you're not taking it to have this sort of spiritual, and I say that with a huge caveat to it that spiritualism is bullshit. But you're not having it to go into oneself and to have this journey and to face the things within oneself that one needs to face. You're doing it just to go about your day and have a normal day. You might as well be shooting up heroin every single day.
Yeah. There's a lot of scientists out there shooting up heroin because it makes them smarter. That's not. No.
There are
not the same thing.
There are no scientists out there shooting up LSD every single day because it makes them smarter, Rich.
Well, almost none of
the
scientists who microdose.
I say this as someone who majored in physics.
Oh,
you know that,
well,
right?
then you must know what every scientist on Earth does. They teach you that in physics school.
No, but I will say with absolute certainty that there are no scientists out there microdosing LSD every single day.
Dude, I knew a guy who took 450
could we have a Google
doses.
confirm on that?
Yeah, I knew a guy who took 450 doses of LSD throughout college, and is a successful computer scientist today. Microdosing's a thing these days, and this was years ago for him.
There's a lot of articles on the net about this. This is not something I'm making up. Microdosing is real. People do it.
It's a real thing. Not just LSD, but also mushrooms. So, for instance, if you can get, say, liquid psilocybin, which is super easy to use for dosing, you cut that down to where you can't notice, the walls are shifting or people's faces look different, or you're not having that level of a psychedelic effect, but it's still influencing you. It might make you more receptive to certain patterns or whatever.
As a real person who's actually encountered with scientists rather than just subsisting vicariously through the internet.
My father was dean of the College of Pharmacy, so maybe you shouldn't make too many assumptions about whether or not I've ever met a scientist.
I didn't say you have never met a scientist. I said that you're relying on the internet for information where I'm relying on real experience.
No, this has nothing to do with the internet for information.
You're telling me that there's nobody on Earth who microdoses.
If I said,
I'm gonna have to get my computer.
I've microdosed.
If I said nobody, then I apologize because
you said
that's
no
obviously,
scientist microdoses.
That's obviously
bullshit,
a
and
fucking.
I'm gonna go prove that.
Well, then shut the fuck up, and I will correct it. Good, get out of here. That was obviously an absolute that had no valid basis whatsoever. I don't generally speak in absolutes. I've had 2.5 glasses of wines now. Wine now. If I do it, fucking deal with it, right? I will say
you're just denying something because it's on the internet. You've got two people in front of you saying this is a real phenomenon.
You're speaking from personal experience. You say you know a guy.
I've microdosed myself,
which is fine, and I'm not saying there's anything.
And
I'm not saying
gotten
there's
shit
anything invalid about that experience. I'm saying he is relying on the internet.
No, he's not.
He just said there's a bunch of
people
fucking
that I
internet
know
articles.
that microdose for one thing. There's a lot of computer scientists
You said
that do
you
it
knew
as well.
scientists being made smarter because of microdosing LSD.
There are
And I
certainly
called
computer
bullshit
scientists
on
who do that I know personally, and I've read articles written by people who claim to be scientists and claim to be microdosing and claim that it is improving their work, and I believe them because
And
the
you
computer
again revert to
scientists I
fucking
know, it does
articles
improve
rather
their
than
knowledge.
personal experience or rather than
Okay.
anything real.
What the fuck are you talking about? I've microdosed myself.
You're
I know
not a
people
fucking
who
scientist,
microdose.
Rich. You're
I'm
fucking
actually
formerly
a computer
homeless
scientist. What the fuck did you just say?
You're a formerly homeless dude. You don't have the
well,
qualifications
nobody
to
who's-
say I was a fucking scientist.
Did you seriously
I
just
was
say
a
that a
computer
homeless person couldn't have
scientist.
been a scientist?
Wow, that's crazy. Do you
Are
have
you
any
a fucking
idea how many
scientist?
scientists go batshit crazy?
Oh, I know. There's quite a few of them. Maybe it's from microdosing LSD, Rich.
I strongly doubt that, but okay. Well, you're
Are you
out of
just
control,
trolling?
and this.
Are you seriously just trolling?
Oh wow!
Damn.
Yeah, I've heard some of the stupidest shit I've ever heard. I won't say it's dumber than a lot of things I've ever seen, but I've never heard you say so many silly things in a short period of time. You're completely speaking out your ass, sweetie. Go home. You're drunk.
Okay, well, fuck off, Rich. You won't be on my show again.
Oh,
Okay,
man. Hey,
sorry.
come on. I thought you were trolling. Oh, man. Seriously. Wow. All right. Well, I guess Arya just got run out of her own studio or something. I'm not sure what just happened. First it was trolling, then it wasn't, and I think you're taking it too seriously.
I'd agree.
Yeah.
I'd agree.
Put
So
the wide shut on here.
do you want to keep it warm for a while and see if she comes back? Or?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, she's welcome to. It's her show. I mean, she
Do
told
we
me to
still
stop
have
it.
a caller on the line?
No, not right now. I think you're taking it way too seriously. I mean, you know.
What?
She said you can.
People should yell at me when
God.
the phone is on.
It's a crazy bitch.
Oh yeah. Well, white bitches be crazy. And they say she's not a real woman.
Yeah. Wow. So looking at the reality of whatever this is, like, we can't know everything ourselves, so we have to rely on what other people think, right? Like, we have to rely on the purported experts. Being able to point to internet articles saying that, hey, microdosing's a thing. Here's all these people that say it's a thing. And then on top of that, you're pointing to your own experience of microdosing and knowing people who microdose. And I guess I don't understand the reticence to accept that information on her part. And then to say it was trolling when I asked her if she was just trolling, and then 5 seconds later walk out of the studio. So,
yeah.
Wow.
I'm kind of dumbfounded, but oh well.
Yeah, what can you do?
Such is life. Maybe she'll watch the video in the morning and
yeah,
feel differently in the daytime.
Yeah, I mean, we can wrap this up. There's no reason
Yeah,
to,
we might
to
as well.
continue. I don't want to insult her show or whatever by taking it over here, but hopefully she'll chill out. And Turd Ferguson says, "What the fuck, dude? Tell her to get her ass back in there. Tell her to not be the new Cantwell." Yeah, that did go through my mind. That it was,
wow.
Yeah. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being here. Hopefully she'll be back on for Call to Freedom tomorrow. Aria Uncensored. Have a good night, everybody. And if you're not ready for psychedelics, it's okay. At some point, maybe you will be.
You might not be ready for wine.
Erowid.org is where you can go to do more research. I highly recommend it. EROWID. You ever been there, Rich Paul? Erowid? Erowid.org?
To Arrowwood?
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought we were off the air.
Almost.
To Arrowwood, yeah, I've used that for reference. That's one of many sites out there, but it's a very good one in my experience.
Yeah, they've got a bunch of great frequently asked questions about pretty much all the major drugs and some really interesting trip reports as well. If you've ever read through any of those, they're really interesting. So, like, people writing down their experiences on various different drugs. Pretty fun reads. They've got everything from, like, bad trips. They've got different categories of trip reports. First-time experiences, glowing experiences, bad trips. You can read the whole range of, like, people having experiences on various different psychedelics and other substances. So check it out. It's arrowwood.org. Have a great night from Ian and Rich here, and sweet dreams.